I have a story for you. The other day, it was rough. It was really rough. I found myself in this situation where I began just beating myself up. It was for not doing something. And then that spiral, that spiral just began. I started being really critical of myself. I started looking at all these other things that I was doing, and I was like, I couldn't, do those things right, of course. And it happened so quickly, but there I was, spiraling downwards into self-doubt, worry, just a general disgust with who I was. And the cherry on top, I berated myself because, hello, I'm a mindset renewal coach.
Hey there! Are you a Christian woman who's ready to strengthen your faith and stop the madness in your mind? The worry, doubt, anxiety. Do you want something more for your life but are not sure where to even begin? You've come to the right place. Hi, I'm Kristin Campbell. I'm excited that you're here as we journey together to discover mindset renewal and empowered faith for the Christian woman.
I should know better. I should do better. And when I tell you, it escalated so quickly. And finally, I just word vomited on my husband, whose response snapped me back to reality. He said, "You're still a human." Now, I'm not sure what it was about that statement, but it was enough just to alert me to what I was allowing to happen. And I want to share this messy story with you to hopefully encourage you that renewing your mind, breaking free from the mental attacks, it's not a one and done. It's going to be an ongoing practice. As long as we have breath and as long as we serve the Lord, the enemy is going to try to mess with our minds. And I want this to be encouraging because you, me, we're all only one decision away from getting out of his grasp. So today, I want to review some tools that we can use when these old thought patterns start to creep back in, which is especially likely to happen during times of stress. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. So, what's a girl to do when spiraling into old thinking? Let's take a look. First, you have to recognize the signs, your signs. And they're going to be different from mine, but you want to start thinking, what did you get freed from? And when you start to see those things come back in, those are your signs. So is it negative self-talk? Is it a pit that you have in your stomach? Is it worry? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it overthinking? Is it reacting really emotional, like having these overly emotional reactions? You have to know what you've been freed from. And listen to me, you're still free from them, even if you have these little setbacks. Okay. You just want to recognize those signs for you. So I recognize that my negative self-talk was back. And that's not how I think anymore. And it's this awareness alone that is what 2 Corinthians 10:5 is talking about, taking every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Like sometimes we think it's this big, huge process, like, oh, I'm going to take this thought captive. It's simply having the awareness of, wait a minute, this isn't how I think. This isn't how the Lord sees me. That right there is taking the thought captive, that awareness. So I recognized that the lies, that the thinking wasn't in alignment with what God says. It was just not. And under different life circumstances, that probably would have been enough for me just to kind of snap out of it, to refuse to agree with the lies, to start to boldly proclaim God's truth. And maybe that's where you are today. Like maybe all you need right now is awareness to say, hey, this isn't true. God says XYZ about me. And you speak out that truth and you're done with it. Like, good deal. That's where you want to be. That's what you want to be practicing on a regular basis. Or maybe you recognize that your emotions are they're off. And you're able to pause and ask, what is this feeling signaling? Right? Because we know that feelings aren't facts. What's the thought behind this feeling? And start to ask the Lord, is this true? And you start to process through, you start to realign your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. And I don't know if you remember us talking about this in another episode, but that's the T model, TEA, thoughts, emotions, actions. It's becoming aware of the thought that's driving your emotion that will then affect your action. So when you can change the root thought to align with truth, your emotions and your actions also realign with truth. They realign with God's purpose. And this is also a really effective strategy. So if you haven't used it yet, I want to encourage you to practice using it as well. Just ask the Lord, Jesus, like, what do you say about this thought or about this emotion? And just getting everything back into alignment. Yet, what if that's just not working? Which was my case. Like I said, if it was under different circumstances, I would have been able to kind of process through because I was aware that my thoughts were out of alignment. I did know the truth, but there was just this lack of strength to do anything more. Like I couldn't snap out of it so easily. And right here, if you're there right now, this is a prime environment for the enemy to start to hurl shame grenades at us. You know better. Boom. Look at you. Ugh. Boom. And sometimes those grenades, they're so convincing. They tell us we're just done for. And if you are there right now, please listen closely. Don't give up. It's a lie. It's not the end. You are not worthless or hopeless or a lost cause. There are other factors that are at play, and we need to consider these things. So today, I'm going to give you another acronym. It's HALT, HALT. We may have covered this in another podcast. I can't remember, but I want to go over it again because repetition, it is the key to learning. It's the key to change. Now, I believe HALT began with the Alcoholics Anonymous because it is a very effective strategy just to start to take inventory of yourself before engaging in any negative behaviors, whether it's addictions, whether it's negative thought patterns, whether it's emotional outbursts. Because when you are in any one or more of these HALT states, which I'm going to explain in a minute, you are vulnerable to attacks from the enemy. So you need to step back. You need to evaluate. First, are you hungry? Yep. Check in with yourself for physical hunger. That's the most tangible. And you want to think, have I been eating healthy foods regularly? Am I drinking enough water? See, being hungry or dehydrated will put you in a brain fog. And there's actually studies that are showing being hangry, it's a real thing. When we are physically depleted, it's going to be difficult to make the best decisions for ourselves. But you also want to be aware if you're spiritually hungry. And you want to ask the Lord, what am I actually craving? What is it that I'm actually trying to satisfy? That's H. Then go on to A. Are you anxious or angry? And this is where the T model can be very helpful because you want to trace the emotion back to that root thought. Okay. When we are angry, we become consumed. We develop this tunnel vision. And it's the same when we allow the anxious thoughts in because we focus so much on the fear or the worry that we really block out other perspectives. So taking time to calm our emotions, you can do deep breathing, journaling. If you're angry, exercising is great. Talking with a trusted friend, having some prayer time. Start to trace the emotions back to the root thought. Is this true? Then you want to move on to L. Are you lonely? When was the last time you genuinely connected with a friend or a family member or God? We were created for relationships. And in today's world of social media, it can be so easy to isolate ourselves and not have genuine connections with people. We need that. And then lastly is T. Are you tired? We're living in a fast-paced culture. The world tells us, go, 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 go. And yet the Lord calls us to rest. Now, I have a whole podcast on this because it was something that I really struggled with. So if you're struggling with it, go back and listen, please. Because it's not just a lack of sleep, but it's a lack of rest. And that can leave us in a state of overwhelm, stressed, and vulnerable. So when you get to the place of feeling hopeless, like, okay, this mindset renewal stuff, this isn't working. I want to encourage you to keep going, to give it another try, this time bringing in the circumstances around you. So that comment that Pete made, you're still a human. It must have triggered my memory to this because then I began to go, okay, wait a minute. Let me look at my life this week leading up to this crazy moment. Well, okay. Are you ready for this? I hadn't eaten well at all. We ate junk food all week because we had a crazy schedule. So there's H. I was hungry. My body was depleted. I was also dehydrated. Now, anyone who knows me knows I struggle with drinking water, even on my best days. I was feeling anxious with all that was on my plate. So there's A. We got H and A. I was lonely. Pete was out of state on a business trip the whole week. There's L. And I hadn't slept. It had been 3 days of me not sleeping. Never mind resting throughout the day. That was out the window. I had hit all 4, HALT. I mean, ding, ding, ding. No wonder I was struggling so much. Our mind and body connection, it matters. Practical conditions affect our mental resilience. All of us, even mindset coaches. And you know what I love about God, among so many other things, is that he understands this. One of my favorite stories in the Bible. Look at the story of Elijah in 1 Kings 19. Okay. Now, Elijah is the greatest man of God of his time. Okay. He did so many miracles. I just really encourage you to look at his life if you haven't yet. In fact, I think he was caught up into heaven. He never really experienced a human death because the Lord's favor was on his life. Okay. Here he is, 1 Kings 19. He just called down a ring of fire from the Lord onto a sacrifice that he had drenched with water. And he calls down the fire of God. It burns up the sacrifice. It ends in the death of like 400 something prophets of Baal at his own hand. Then he goes, after this amazing miracle, he goes and he starts to pray, and the drought that was in the land ends based on his prayers. So, it's pretty obvious that the Lord is with Elijah. So this all just happens, and he gets word that Jezebel wants to kill him, which obviously she does. So he takes this and he becomes fearful, and he runs for his life. And he finally crashes under this tree, and he says to God, just end my life now. It's over. Just end it. His fear of this one woman had him completely forget about all that the Lord just did through him. He forgot about God's promises. He forgot about God's favor. So what's God's response? This is my favorite part. A couple naps and a couple meals. He tells Elijah, just fall asleep, have some food, take another nap, have some more food. And then Elijah got back to God's business. God didn't shame Elijah. God didn't yell at him. God understood that Elijah was tired, that his physical body needed nourishment and sleep. And it's the same for us. God understands that life this side of heaven will be difficult at times. Jesus tells us very clearly in John 16 that in this world, we will have trials, but take heart, for he has overcome the world. God's grace is extended to us in abundance. He's not angry with us when we stumble back into old patterns. He knows it's going to happen. Proverbs 24 tells us, though a righteous man falls 7 times, he rises up again. And Isaiah tells us, when he's prophesying about Jesus, he says, a bruised reed, Jesus will not break. Meaning God's compassionate beyond what we can understand. So the next time you catch yourself in old thought patterns, as I did, I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to ask the Lord to show you the circumstances at work that you might be ignoring. Use HALT to begin with. You're probably going to find your answer very quickly. Then receive God's grace. Take care of yourself. Get back up. There's no shame. There's no condemnation. Just God's grace and compassion as you renew yourself to be more aligned with Jesus. Now I have a worksheet. No, I don't have a worksheet. I have a worksheet that will help you through this process. It's going to ask you just to kind of go deeper and to reflect more on all that we've talked about. Now that's free to download on my website, thekristincampbell.com, under podcasts. And please, if you are struggling with this, do not give up. Reach out for support. You can set up a free coaching session right online at my website. I would love to help you. In the meantime, practice the T. Remind yourself to halt and receive God's abundant grace. Be blessed.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I hope you walked away a little stronger in your faith and freer in your mind. You are so loved. If you like this episode, share it with a friend. Leave your ratings and reviews, and engage with me on social media. I'd love to hear from you.